Hello, everyone. Welcome to 3Q, New Mexico's business and nonprofit podcast. I am your host, Pam Myers. My pronouns are she, her, hers, and my wonderful co host is the always fabulous Eric Yoakum. We are here today with Shirley Edmondson and Kim Fowler. They recently secured a grant to highlight the Black voices of Santa Fe, New Mexico. So, welcome, Shirley and Kim. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
So, we were just talking before we went live about how things have changed over the years because Kim mentioned that you had moved to Santa Fe for the first time in the 70s. Can you talk a bit about that, Kim, on repeat what you said about the population?
Well, my experience, and actually one of the people in one of the story circles we did to collect stories for the piece that we got the grant for, was talking about this and how back then people were there were more neighborhoodly. The populations that are Hispanic and Mexican and Native were much more visible, just on a regular basis, just walking down the street, than they are now. And it just feels like there's been either people have left or people have pulled back, but there's a real, it feels much like it's becoming a more regular upper middle class, even though there are many people here that ain't in that particular classification.
Right.
But that's the face that we're getting now.
Interesting.
Mhm.
And I was telling them Old Santa Fe Trail when I lived here was a dirt road. And, and we were very upset when it was paved.
That was a while ago.
I imagine because Santa Fe, it's like you're proud of those dirt roads. We're proud of those dirt roads in New Mexico, period. Right.
Right. Yeah. So now I just lost my question. I just lost my question. Brain fart.
The population. You were going to ask the population.
Yes. Yeah, sure. Let's talk about population while my brain recalibrates. So population. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So it became really It wasn't as touristy, I would imagine, back in the 70s, right?
There were T-shirts that were on sale, like in the store windows next door to La Fonda. They say, "Where the hell is Santa Fe, New Mexico?"
Oh, wow!
Right. And now
I would tell people where I live. They say, "Oh, you live in Mexico?" I said, "No, I don't."
No.
Right. Yes, we are one of the 50 states. Yes. But so now it's become a destination place to visit and come get your, the art up and down the streets and all that kind of stuff. But you're right. I would imagine it brings it's a different flavor than it was back then. That's really interesting. I hadn't really thought about that. But how did you guys tell us more about this grant? It's amazing. There's grants out there, the great grants that are out there that people don't even know about. But how did you guys get involved in this this grant?
Well, when Kim and I were, we were at the poetry reading, right? Jericho Brown and Arthur Size. It was at the Lensic, and Charla Russell, Chelsea Johnson over at the Department for Art, Santa Fe Arts and Cultural Department, said, we were all talking, and they said, well, there are grants there. And my thought was they were always for visual artists, and we're a group of writers, women writers of the diaspora. And Chelsea said, Charlotte said, let's meet up and talk about it. And there were grants for writers. And I said, well, that's amazing. So it was a very short window to get this grant in, but surely there are grants available for all of the arts. Kim, you want to take it from there?
Yeah. And what this particular program was, they were giving 5 grants out of $10,000 each under the headline of Art is the Solution. So it was looking at the arts as a way to look at structural inequities in Santa Fe. So we got a grant. The only other one I remember is a good friend of ours, Robert von Washington, got a grant because he gives flowers to Black men. And so it was part of his flower project. I don't know specifically beyond that what he's doing, but anyway, that's what the context was.
Wow. Yeah. And what's the Black population in Santa Fe? It's very small, right?
1.3%. So roughly 1,100 people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is bigger than most people here think.
Well, yeah, when you say the 1%, you go, wow, that's tiny. But you realize there's actually a lot of people in the county. So then 1,100 people, it's still a small portion, but that's still more people than you would think. So that's cool. So okay, then I want to hear more about, you guys are writers. How does this all work together?
So we started out during COVID, 2020, everyone was in. And I'm a writer. Writing is always such kind of a solo endeavor. You're there, you've got your computer, and everyone was now on Zoom. And there was this group. And for me, oh my gosh, there's a group of Black women writers in Santa Fe. Oh my, let's join. So we started meeting and really took off. And then we came outside, of course, in 2021. And from there, we get together, we share our work, we edit each other's work. We, again, many folks in the group are published. Kim, you want to talk about your book and some other folks?
Sure. So I have a book, which I really, if I was a good marketer, would have right here. And I just did a while ago, but I'm not going to move. It's called All Will Be Well, a memoir of love and dementia. It's about my mother having essentially an aneurysm, a bleed that caused dementia, and my caring for her with my father until he died, and the relationships, navigating family relationships and the health systems and all that is what that's about. Yeah. So, and I did a second edition a couple of years ago with the support of this group, and actually got a National Indie Excellence Award finalist award for that last year.
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And I'm in process of writing memoir and have published poetry. I started out as a poet and moved towards memoir, and I'm dipping my toe in fiction right now, which is a very different type of process.
Right.
I spent my day with this character. That's the day, writing the psychology, the physiology of whoever this character is. But the poetry book, Mary Owishi edited. She was the poet laureate of in Albuquerque. And that book also received an award, a Southwestern Award. And I'm also going to come out with a piece in the Santa Fe Literary Review in August, the 2024 edition. So look for that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's a big shift from poetry and in memoir. That's like all truth, right? So it's easier to. That's a straight line of truth, right? More so than fiction. I've got a fiction writer in my house, and so it's all about, does this match with this, and does it meet up, and who's that person and where they are? It's like, and then we have whole conversations about the place everything happens, and like me as a reader, I'm going, just write it, right? And he's like, oh my. No, there's the whole thing. There's, it's so I have great respect for getting all of that out of your head and onto a page. To me, is like, I'm an avid reader, so I appreciate your efforts, but wow.
Wonderful. I truly love writing. I started writing when I was 11 and wasn't fully able to jump into this writing career until actually about a year ago today, when I retired from teaching after 40 years.
Wow.
So this is my first year of really getting a chance to jump in, and it's been wonderful.
So then there should be a memoir coming about teaching for 40 years, because I imagine you got stories.
She does.
Oh my. I mean, not even just like, crazy students, and there's like parent teacher conferences, and I'm sure you walked away from going,
There have
oh,
been, yes, it's been interesting and wonderful.
I
The
homeschooled 2
students
kids,
love
and I
her.
have stories. I mean, my parent teacher conferences were pretty weird, but but wow. So
So to go back to talking about the grant that you received then, and then we want to circle back and talk about your group that you've organized. But the grant was to specifically record the written stories, correct?
Oral stories. This is oral tradition.
Oral stories. Okay.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
wonderful.
when we started, we got together and we're talking about the grant, Shirley and I, and I said, I used to do documentary theater in San Francisco a long time ago. And I thought, maybe this is a form that could translate to coming up with conversations around structural inequity, which is basically what we're talking about is racism in different forms in Santa Fe. So we decided there's a form called story circles that's used for all sorts of things, developing material, community work, and that. And we had 4 of those. Shirley did the first one. And actually she did 2 of them. And we had anywhere from 4 to 7 people in each group.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we recorded everything, and then we had the challenge of taking those recordings and turning them into transcripts, which was not the easiest until we found the right program to allow us to do that.
Right.
And so then I've been editing basically all of that material and narrowing it down into the script for the reading.
wow.
And it started with the education, of course. That's what I'm very familiar with. And that is one of the pieces that it's heartbreaking in many ways, the experiences that parents have had with their students. And of course, I was on the other side of it as a teacher and seeing these types of things within the schools. I worked in New Mexico, around New Mexico. And so we began with education, and they are heartbreaking. Students, of course, are bullied. And then when you add the piece of being in the middle schools, which is always tough.
Middle school's the worst.
Oh,
Mean. People can
Yes.
be mean. Add into that cyberbullying or the perceived threat because of the melanin in your skin, so that you're separated during events that could be dangerous. Like the first person that is looked at would be the person with extra melanin in their skin as opposed to the real threats. We move from that into pieces that adults experience, being seen or unseen, that invisibility piece, which happens, of course, in businesses. And I liken it to aging. Sometimes when you're aging in certain establishments, you may be looked over, but this is also a common occurrence for people of color and in this town. So we moved into some of those other themes, themes of healthcare. What is it like to go to the ER or even to work in the healthcare system and have to fight systemic racism of, the bias of, well, it's okay, they can handle that pain a little bit more. They don't, so these were some of the common themes and threads.
wow.
Or
How
even
many?
there's people, a couple of people talked about being mistaken for another Black person in town and telling the white person who made that mistake that, no, I am not that person. This is who I am. And the white person saying, no, you're not. You're that
Can you
person.
imagine?
You're
Wow.
that person I know you are. I thought you were, and I know you are. You're not,
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Wow. Yeah, I can't even imagine. Apparently I had a doppelganger running around in my hometown when I was younger. I didn't know about, right? And I've had other people like run up to me and start talking to me and thinking I was somebody else, but I've never had somebody say, yes, you are. That's who you are. I mean, I would be like,
Who the
That would be so bizarre. It's like, no, I'm me. Sorry, you don't know me. Because usually I would say that and then they'd be flustered and we'd laugh, haha. But I can't imagine having somebody that have the nerve to say, you're not
to
who you
argue?
are. I know who you are. Right? Would be bizarre. Right?
Right. Wow.
Yeah, the invisibility thing. I was just talking about that. I have, as an older lady, I've become somewhat invisible. So there's no there, which in some things I'm grateful. Like I don't have to worry about creeps perving on me and when I go in a store or something like that. But I have noticed that I as a white woman can get away with pretty much whatever I want to at this. Like I could walk into Walmart, put a bunch of stuff in my basket and walk out without paying it. And I almost guarantee you I wouldn't get challenged walking out the door.
Mhm.
Right. And I also realize that that is not how it is for others. It's just, it's an interesting conversation to have and think about like where I am in my life and I'm invisible now, which I'm trying to look at it like a superpower.
Mhm.
Right. I'm trying to think of it in the positive, right? I have superpowers now.
Well, I'm very glad that you brought that up in terms of having the conversation. Kim and I
Right.
have a goal also after this presentation to have the conversation with community.
Right.
That's part of the end of the reading, is to open it to community, to possibly bring about what are some things that you may have taken away, what are some of the things you may have learned. And I spoke to Kim about this earlier today, that this is not a complaint piece. What it is to present it to the community, one, to validate that we do have these experiences, because
Right.
when you are one of few and it happens to you over and over, it's almost like that gaslighting, like, is that for real? Did I just, you question it. You really
Exactly.
do.
Right.
Did she really just do that, or is that
Right.
me?
Right.
Yes.
And this is not everyone's experience, of course, in Santa Fe. These are some of the experiences that
Right.
people have had. And that conversation after is the piece that community, whether folks may say, I'm an ally and I know, what I don't really know what to do, or I don't really know how to approach these things. That's the beauty of this piece, is to get the conversation started. That's essentially what we can do.
Yep.
Kim, you want
It's
to
like
take it from here?
Well, I was going to say it's like a continuation of the circles, because the
Yes.
circles were brought together and we had a set of like 4 or 5 questions that we were asking, which are basically the way the script is structured. And in a couple of, well, at least in one case, no one in the circle knew each other.
Mhm.
And in the others, usually, they either all knew each other or maybe half of them knew each other. But there's a way that familiarity and having the opportunity both to tell your story and have somebody really listen to it, because people really listened to
Mhm.
each other's stories. It changes the nature of the relationship.
Mhm.
And my hope, one of the things I was thinking about last night, is like the audience. Shirley, I haven't talked to you about this, but the audience is an extension of a story circle in a way.
Right.
So what she was talking about, Shirley's talking about, like, what are they experiencing, and then sharing some of that. It's kind of part of that same process. So,
Yeah.
which I think is a very powerful and is ancient. I mean,
Yes. And
story.
it's cathartic and very strengthening to realize you're not alone.
Right.
There are people that are going through or have had similar experiences and can understand or even validate you when you go, so this happened to me. And they go, yeah, I've had that happen. You go, okay, great. I'm not crazy.
Right.
I'm not, I gaslight myself. Thank you very much. And it's yeah, the conversation is everything. I
Mhm.
try to teach my kids, like, they don't understand. Sometimes I'll make a comment and they'll be like, really, mom? I'm like, no, see, you don't get it because you've never been a female. and you
Mhm.
never will, because there's things. It's different. Speaking of San Francisco, like I had some experiences in San Francisco that were scary for me because I was young woman in San Francisco and came face to face with some pretty scary stuff that you probably wouldn't have come face to face with, because just for the fact that you're a man, right? That's a difference for you that I won't understand some of the stuff, the BS that men get, the bluster stuff that men get, because I'm a woman. I didn't, nobody got in my face. But having the conversations and sharing those experiences, I hope has helped widen their understanding of
Mhm.
other people have different experiences in the world, the same world, standing and looking at the same world
Right.
through different lenses. I
Right.
hope.
Mhm.
Right.
Right. Right. Right. Because you could have a room with 100 people and a speaker, and every single one of them is going to have a different takeaway.
Mhm.
Sure.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. How many voices have you recorded so far? And what's your goal?
When it was like 18 or 19,
Mm.
something like that.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
Quite
So
a few.
not everybody's story is in, because I mean they're just, we don't have a lot of time, because we do want to have time for discussion.
Right.
But we captured as many as we possibly could.
Okay. Yeah.
And then is this going to be a live thing? Are you going to do?
Yes, it
So
is.
what happens now?
Go, Shirley.
Oh, it is going to be live. The presentation first, this will be, you can get a ticket on eventbrite.com and search Santa Fe and just go to the title, Black in Santa Fe, Unseen, Seen and Unseen. They will be presented 2 times. The first time, Friday, June 14th at 7 p.m., located at 1420 Cerrillos Road, which is the Democratic Party headquarters, I believe.
Okay.
It's a huge sign, 1420. That's June 14th at 7 p.m. The next showing of the reading will be June 18th at John Cocteau, which is on Montezuma down at the rail yard.
Mm-hmm.
And that's also 7 p.m. Get a ticket reservation. It is free. We would take donations.
Mm-hmm.
So
Uh-huh.
I'm putting the ticket link up here so folks can find it, because I
you.
just went and grabbed it, and I Googled Black in Santa Fe, Seen and Unseen, and it popped right up. So if
Yes.
folks can find it that way, that's brilliant.
Right.
That's a nice, easy, Googleable name. And the ticket links popped right up. So that's great.
Okay.
Good,
Thank you.
Now, I want to circle back and talk about the group that you created, Shirley. What is the name of the group again?
Okay, I didn't create it. I'm just a member of it. But
Not just, but
well, I know. I take that back.
See how we do that to ourselves? Yeah,
Yeah.
just.
Okay. The group is called Women Writers of the Diaspora. There are 6 of us, and let's see. Well, you've met Kim and myself. The other members are Cece Tadfor, and she has done a number of community events. She has a foundation, and she also has a cookbook out, African Cooking.
Oh, yeah.
The next member, Linda Jones, is very active in what's another organization called Black Women United, which is of Central New Mexico, which is just about everyone we know in community is a member of that, and she's very active in that. We also have Betty Kearse, who has published her book called The Other Madisons, which she's done TED Talks. It's been pretty successful here and in the United States. It's about her genealogy, the other Madisons, the president.
Oh, wow.
And you can catch her TED Talk on YouTube. And I believe now it's going in, she's had a documentary about it. I think it's going into screenplay. I'm not sure. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow, impressive.
Yeah.
And I believe that she'll be doing a book fair in Santa Fe in September. So these are some things that are on the horizon.
Yeah.
And also Danielle or Danny Reddick, who is a well-known actor in town and works with Theater Grotesco and is right now in a performance. And her resume is quite long, but she's been a part of the theater family here in Santa Fe.
Okay.
Fantastic.
Yeah, that
Yes.
is fantastic. It sounds like a number of great things to look into.
Yes, we probably will have some. I don't know if we'll have something as a group for Juneteenth on the plaza. There may be some members reading from their books.
Mm-hmm.
So that will happen the next day, the 15th on the plaza.
Yeah, there'll be a book table where, other books, Betty will have books, Cece will probably have books there, and there are probably other people, but yeah.
Okay. Oh, wonderful. That sounds great.
Today I learned what a diaspora is. I just Googled the word, like,
Enlighten us, Erica.
the dispersion or spread of a people from their original homeland, people who
Wow.
have spread or been dispersed from their homeland. So I had never heard, honestly, 57 years old, had not heard the word before in my little sheltered life over here. So I went and Googled it.
Good.
So, right? I'm all about education.
But I also would love to mention just the actors, the names that we have, so of the actors that will be part of this. Brashawn Joyner, who's been in plays at Santa Fe Playhouse. She also teaches at the School for the Arts here in Santa Fe. It has another name, I think, that I'm not remembering. Anjo Stewart, who is from Albuquerque and is spoken word and DJ person. Sasha McGee and Shayla Patton are two people that Danny has worked with, and I don't know them as well, so I don't have as much background on them. But if Danny's worked with them, I'm sure they're good. So, and it looks like I'm probably going to be involved too.
Exciting. Yeah. What a great project. I love that you had the idea, stumbled upon, and created it. It's really very exciting.
The grants, that's great that there was money for that. That's
Right.
great.
Yeah.
Right.
And I do hope that others take advantage. They do them in cycles. It's really as simple as going to their website and looking at what grants are available.
Okay.
It's really helped us.
Yeah, and actually that's something that a lot of people don't think about. There is a lot of grant money that's out there in different places, but you just have to go and look for it. So I'm glad that's yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yes, and our group is open to women of the diaspora again, who may be interested in having their work looked at or sharing. It's there aren't any steadfast rules other than we ask that they be women of color
Right.
to join our groups. I've had experiences in town joining groups where I was the only African American queer woman, and I've had mixed results. So this is like going home.
Nice.
Feels like a safe place. And it's been amazingly helpful. I've learned so much from these brilliant people.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, so we've been all over the place, and now I'm thinking, how do I tell people where to, if somebody wants to reach out to one of you and say, what do I do? How do they reach you?
So they can email us. We have an email account, and it's the best way to reach us. It is WOD, which stands for Women of the Diaspora, WOD Santa Fe at Outlook.com.
Outlook.com. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'm going to put that up here real quick so that folks can see it.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
drop a line and one of us will respond. We'd like to hear from you.
Wonderful.
Okay, cool.
Wonderful. Well, thank you both so very much for coming on and having this conversation with us. We really appreciate it. It's been quite enjoyable, and I hope it helps drive some attention to your project and to the events that you have coming up.
Thank you so much. It's really been a delight to do this.
It has. Thank you for having us.
Oh, you're very welcome. We'll
Very
see you all next time.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Thanks
Bye.
for listening.
All right. Bye.